Welcome back to another ukulele tutorial. I'm Lara, and today I'm sharing with you my fingerstyle chord melody arrangement of Meet the Flintstones. The Flintstones was one of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid, and I had a lot of fun creating this arrangement for the theme song of the show. This arrangement is for low G tuning, and you'll find the tabs on screen during the tutorial. You can also download the tabs as a PDF from my Patreon page, and you'll find the link down below in the video description. First, I'll play through this melody so you can hear how it sounds. Then we'll walk through the tutorial and how to play the tabs step by step. Then I'll play through the melody once more with the tabs on screen so you can play along with me. If you're enjoying this arrangement, please give this video a like, and thank you so much for subscribing. Now we're moving into our tutorial. Before we get started, I want to point out that this arrangement uses quite a few chuck strums. If you're not familiar with chucking, then I'll put a link above to my tutorial where I walk you through how to play this technique. We're starting off the first measure with our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We'll play an arpeggio through strings 4, 3, and 2. An arpeggio is a broken chord played so that each note rings out. The melody note on this chord is on the 2nd string. After this, we'll pick the open 3rd string. And then moving into measure 2, we have a chuck strum. Then we're going to place our pinky down on the 3rd fret of the 1st string and pick only the 1st string, and then we'll lift our pinky up to play the open 1st string. And then we're going to pick the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then the 1st fret of the 2nd string. For measure 5, we have all open strings, and we'll play this arpeggio through the 2nd string. Then we'll pick the open 2nd string, and then the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. For measure 6, we'll play the open 3rd string, and then we'll place our middle finger down on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then we go back to all open strings in measure 7 and play this arpeggio through the 2nd string. Then we'll pick the open 4th string, and for measure 8, we have 2 options. The first option sounds like this. And the second option sounds like this. So for the first option, we're picking each note. First we have the open 3rd string, then we have the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then we have the open 2nd string, and then the 1st fret of the 2nd string. For the second option, we're going to use hammer-ons on both of these strings. So starting with the 3rd string, we'll hammer on to the 2nd fret. And then for the 2nd string, we'll hammer on to the 1st fret. Now I'll play the entire first line at a nice slow tempo. When we get to the end of measure 8, we have repeat bars. So we'll go back to measure 1 and repeat measures 1 through 6, and then we'll go to measure 9 for our second ending. For measure 9, we're going to pick strings 3 and 4 together. These are both open strings. Then we'll pick the open second string, And in measure 10, we're going to pick the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then the open 1st string. For measure 11, we're going to an E7 chord. To play this, I have my index finger on the 1st fret of the 4th string, and my middle and ring fingers on the 2nd fret of strings 1 and 3. We'll play this arpeggio through all 4 strings. And then we'll pick the open 2nd string. In measure 12, we have another chuck. And then we're placing our pinky down on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. And then we'll lift it up to play the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And in measure 13, we're going to an A7 chord with an added melody note on the 1st string. So here I have my index finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string and my ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Then I'll lift up my ring finger to play the open 1st string twice and place it back down to play the 2nd fret. Then I'll lift it up one more time to play the open 1st string again. And then I'll pick strings 4, 3, and 2. And then in measure 15, we're going to a D chord. I'm using my index, middle, and ring fingers across strings 2, 3, and 4 on the 2nd fret. Then I'm picking the 3rd string. And in measure 16, we have another chuck. And then I'm placing my pinky down on the 2nd fret of the 1st string to pick only the 1st string. And then I'm lifting my pinky back up to play the open 1st string. Now I'll play the 2nd line, measures 9 through 16, at a nice slow tempo. For measure 17, we're going to a partial G chord. I have my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. The 1st string is open because this string carries our melody note. Then I'll pick the 3rd fret of the 2nd string twice, and then the open 1st string, and then back to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. For the rest of measure 18, I'm going to pick the open 4th string, and then I have another hammer-on option, so I can either pick the open 3rd string, and then pick the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, or I can do a hammer-on. Measures 19 through 24 are identical to measures 1 through 6, so let's jump ahead to measure 25, where we have a chuck strum, and then we're picking the open 2nd string, and then the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Then we're moving up to the 3rd string, playing an open 3rd string, and then the 2nd fret, and then we have one last chuck on measure 27, and then we're playing the same 3 notes again, the open 2nd string, 1st fret, and then 3rd fret. And for measure 28, we're going to the 3rd fret of the 1st string, and then the 5th fret. And then for our final chord, we're on the 7th fret of the 1st string, and we'll play an arpeggio through all 4 strings. Now I'll play through the final 1.5 lines, measures 17 through 29, at a nice slow tempo. we're through our tutorial, I'm going to play through this melody once more with the tabs on screen so you can play along with me. If a slower tempo would be helpful, then feel free to slow down the playback speed of the video down in the video settings. 5, 6, 7, 8. I hope you've enjoyed learning my arrangement of Meet the Flintstones. Have fun practicing, and thank you for watching.